Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Sagittarius energy. And like usual, we're going to do 2 rows. On the top row, I kind of refer to that as high vibe Sagittarius. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius. We all have our dualistic nature of free will, and we have to make decisions in our life, and some people could be battling within themselves right now. They might want to move forward in life a little differently, but in the bottom row, they kind of have to work through some of their fears or their insecurities or self-limiting beliefs or whatever it is that could manipulate them, that stops them from maybe moving forward in life a little differently. The truth sets us free. The reason for the top row's reading is the hangman, being enlightened to the truth. Sometimes that requires us to look at life differently. And the reason for the bottom row's reading is the 9 of Pentacles. This is emotional water sign energy. This is earth sign energy. Virgo in the 9 of Pentacles is also about, it talks about going within and seeing the truth, kind of looking at those things that we kind of don't want to look at, or we hadn't even thought of looking at, didn't know we needed to look at. But some things that we might need to look at, that the reason for the top row's reading coming out is the hangman, and the hangman can talk about we feel stuck. Some people just really made their life a lot about things of the world. And maybe they have all these things of the world. In the 9 of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles can talk about you really have it all. The 9 of Pentacles, you can be single and you can have a lot of things, or be abundant or stable or grounded, and you have a lot of things that make you seem stable and abundant in a lot of ways, whether that's you're a nurturing person, a loving person, a creative person, a talented person, a smart person. The pentacles can represent kind of all these different gifts that you have, or qualities that you have, and lessons that you've learned, or wealth you've accumulated. Some people are maybe not as connected in with their emotional nature, so sometimes we've invested in all these things of the world, whether that's indulging in things or being about ourselves or our career, but maybe we thought all those things would make us happy, but we kind of were turning our back emotionally on kind of investing in our emotional nature. Or this also is a feminine figure, and the way I read tarot is the feminine figures can represent how we think and feel. This to me looks like a masculine figure, and the masculine figures can be about kind of taking action on things. And so some people might be very abundant in a lot of different ways, but maybe they have a hard time taking action, maybe on their truth, or how to take the things that they are abundant in and kind of expressing those in some way. Pisces can talk about our creative, inspired, intuitive nature. Let's go see what's going on. Let's go look at these 4 cards here that aren't showing themselves. The Tower, the Knight of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Cups. So, the 9 of Cups, like the Hangman, is Pisces energy. The Knight of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles are Virgo energy. Somewhere along the way, probably when we were all growing up, right? We had this long-term plan. That's what Virgo energy can talk about. And there could have been a tower to our long-term plan. Just like all of us at the 10 of Pentacles can talk about I want to be in long-term friendships or relationships. And the Nine of Cups can be that I find emotionally fulfilling. And we all could have done that at different times. When we were younger, we could have been born into families that we thought would be more long term, more stable, more grounded, uh, more emotionally fulfilling than they were. Uh, but maybe we were kind of born into some families where people's long term goal was more about indulging themselves, or one of the people, or some of the people in the group, because the Ten of Pentacles can also represent a group. Maybe some of the people were more independent, is what the Nine of Pentacles can talk about. And over time, we can go through life getting friendships, getting relationships, getting jobs, which is what all these things here could talk about, that we thought would be emotionally fulfilling. The other people got in it because they thought it would be emotionally fulfilling. But maybe as time went by, some people started to look at life differently. And that's the way life is. You're 18, 21, 25, you're hanging out with people. Oh, this looks great. This is fun. Let's keep doing this forever. And we're kind of not as focused on our long term goals necessarily, maybe when we're younger. And we can be a little bit more about indulging ourselves in the world, is what the Pentacles can talk about, these worldly things, and the Nine of Cups can talk about indulging. And some people really kind of could have really enjoyed living their life a certain way, could have always wanted to be single, is what the Nine of Pentacles can talk about. People could have gotten in friendships or relationships or marriages, some people, but maybe some people really got kind of caught up in and were happy living their life a certain way, just like we could have been at all these different stages of life. But sometimes some people, you know, are ready to become more independent of an old phase of living life. Why? Maybe because they feel a little stuck. And so, just like we did at all those other stages of life, was it great to be 18, maybe to be 21, be 25? Yeah. And then we hung out with certain people and we got in friendships and relationships and we got in jobs and, you know, we maybe expected, of course, that we were all going to get along and everything was going to work out great, and kind of thinking that we were all going to all kind of keep growing up and maturing together with each other, right? But at any given moment of time in our life, as we're going through life and going through life with other people, we could be living our life a certain way and we're like, yeehaw, let's keep doing this. And some other people are like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this. I mean, that was great, but I'm kind of ready to, again, like go to that next phase of life. And some of the other people are like, what? Well, why would we do that? But, that is what we do through life. We go through these stages of life. We think it's great. We love it. This is fun. Let's keep doing our life like this. But then either us or someone else in the group can get tired of it. Like, that was great. That was fun. But, I didn't want to live my life that way forever. And some people could be people who are maybe more connected in with their intuition, or everybody can have kind of these more distant long-term plans, because that's what Virgo can talk about. What is my long-term goal? What are some of my long-term dreams about things that I think would make me happy? And though we can know people at these different stages of life and we can enjoy that stage of life too, it's kind of like some people kind of looked at it more as this is a stage of life, you know? We all agree, right? And some people are like, what? Like, no, like, this is great and we should just like keep doing this. And, just kind of Pisces energy can kind of talk about our dreams that we have. And some people are like, I plan to live my life like this to a general degree, pretty much like this. Another, just like, uh, I remember in like, kind of elementary or high school, hanging out with some people and people saying something like, "Oh, I can't wait till I get older and I have kids," and I don't know, kind of like I want to do this and this with them, and it was almost like implying like they'd be living their life almost kind of in a way doing some of the same things that they did then. It's just that then they'd be older, they'd have children, and they'd basically still be doing some of those things and hanging out that way, but then they'd be doing it with their kids. And I definitely thought, what? I don't plan to necessarily be living my life like this. And that never popped in my head, that thinking, oh, when I'm older, like then I would sit around with my kids and be doing this, and so we all can have different ideas of our long-term plans and what we think would be fun. Um, so we can all kind of understand that. And so sometimes, um, and with these cards not showing themselves, because at any of these stages of life when we're kind of hanging out with people and we can, you know, it's probably not that we really like, we don't maybe necessarily talk to people a lot in a way. I know I didn't when I was younger necessarily. And even now, I mean, I'm older, but I still don't really. I might muddle it over, and Virgo can talk about internally my own kind of ideas of what I kind of think I would like as my future unfolds, of how the direction I could kind of think I would like that to take. And other people kind of, whether we're kind of aware of it or not, because Pisces can also talk about in the emotional nature within ourselves, and that's not necessarily stuff, and again with these cards not showing each other, that we necessarily discuss with each other. I mean, and the more some people think, well, I'd be doing my life kind of like I'm doing it right now. Like I don't plan to ever leave this town or this job or change any of my hobbies or my social activities. I plan to, of course, be doing the exact same thing like 20 years from now. Where other people, and so they could have assumed that, of course, other people think that way. And other people could be thinking, oh no, I definitely, I don't even know if I'd want to keep living in this town or this state. Or, I have kind of maybe, I look at life differently from a different perspective. And, but that's not stuff that we, probably regardless of how old we are, maybe, well, I suppose once you get a lot older, maybe you assume people have a set kind of way of doing things, but um you sometimes don't talk about that stuff, is one way this could be. Another could be with the Tower card, is that some people, the Tower can kind of be about detaching from one foundation or another. And the truth is, at some point in time in people's life, they could have made these more conscious decisions in their life that some people could have decided, I'm detaching from that foundation. I really don't want to look at life differently. I don't want to being enlightened to the truth could be that you keep growing or healing or maturing yourself, or I don't even agree with the truth about love. And then that's funny. The only other card showing itself in the top row is the Hermit, which is Virgo energy. But the Hermit definitely talks about going within and doing this inner work. Um, you know, it's basically kind of being inspired within yourself to kind of be that when you feel stuck, you live your life, you feel stuck, you kind of do this work within yourself. I want to figure out why I feel stuck. I thought I was living my life in a way that I thought I would be happy about. I invested in certain people, places, activities, social vices, or whatever. But something makes me feel stuck. Well, what is it? And they're willing to do this inner work to figure out why they feel stuck. Is it, let's start with me first. Um, some people who could be in this type of energy could look at other people who, we have Virgo, we have Pisces, we can look a lot alike and in a lot of ways, like, oh, you know, but some people could feel that other people do look at life differently. And it can be in the Hermit that they seem more at peace within themselves. So now this kind of reminded me of like a yoga pose or something. Um, but anyway, that some people feel more at peace. We can all have some of these things of the world, and the Tower card can talk about that some people feel very unstable. They might look very stable, you know. Anybody, that's the whole thing. Let's see, what's this? That's a feminine card. Okay. So everybody in the world can kind of present themselves because it's some masculine energy. That means it can talk about how people are presenting themselves in the world. Anybody can go out in the world and in Pisces energy and maybe some Virgo energy, go present themselves in the world like very stable, grounded, enlightened, try to see things from other people's perspective, have learned all these lessons in life, are these very mature people that people should want to be, if they're single, that other people would want to kind of view them as someone they would want to be in friendship or relationship with. If they're not single, this could kind of represent, oh, their work experience, their education, and they also might have some other perks about them, attractiveness or status and well spoken or whatever, right? So we can all go out in the world and kind of present ourselves like that. But emotionally, what is the truth of who we are? Are we more seeming to have an energy about us? And then it's kind of interesting in this card, kind of has all these lights kind of around it. Energetically, we kind of give off an energy about ourselves. You can watch people walking down the street, you can see people at the grocery store or whatever. And some people could seem to have a much more tranquil, at peace, maybe confident, energy about them, and other people, all those things about like body posture and head down, or just the energy kind of people give off about them can be different, even though, you know, like if you were to compare it to like twins, um, or put a blue-haired, not a blue-haired, a blonde-haired, a brown-haired, a man, a woman, a boy, a girl, whatever. You could kind of put all these people that really look a lot alike. Say you could do something like that, or if they were twins. And if you were to kind of try to, just on observing them, which ones do you think seem to feel more stable, grounded, maybe mature than someone else? Or who might kind of give off an impression of seeming more full of themselves, or ego, or image, or status, even though the other people could kind of look just like them, be kind of wearing similar clothes. And you could do it both ways. Like if somebody was wearing nice clothes, all the people. And then if you had people come in, but they kind of look like much more casual dress, or shaggy, like if we were at the beach or something, right? Who who really kind of has that essence about them, irregardless, who seems to more try to maybe be more reliant on their status, or their image, or their looks, or what they wear, or the people they surround themselves with, who seems to be more at peace within themselves, regardless of if they had those things or surrounded by those people or not. So some people emotionally could be much more unstable within themselves, is what the Tower can talk about. And we have the free will to decide to invest in ourself kind of emotionally. And then the earth signs are on the opposite side of the zodiac wheel of the water signs, and particularly in this case Virgo and Pisces. And some people could have conflict going on right now between kind of what some of their long-term plans were and dreams, and then kind of what emotionally some of their dreams are, and then we can kind of battle within ourselves. Because on one hand, I kind of like to do these things that I'm motivated and inspired by in the world that are part of my long-term plan. But I also emotionally want some of these things in my life. And some people could really have a lot of inner conflict within themselves about the fact that we do have free will, and we kind of have to make these decisions within ourselves. Some people are more unstable. Some people are more materialistic. Some people are more about themselves. Some people think they'll be happy if they just make their life about themselves, or indulge in these certain things, or the money, or the status, or the image. And some people gave up on love free willingly at some point in time in their life. And it's like, nope, that's not my truth. Again, these cards can be about truth, and they're like, no, that's not my truth. I am sure my long-term plan is to make my life about me or these things of the world. I'm sure I'll be happy. Could they be people who are willing to get married to other people? Yeah, but they're still, their long-term plan is more about the world, about themselves in a way, and how it benefits them, and more about maybe indulging themselves. If they get in relationships with people who are more like that too, that would be a more just and fair and balanced relationship. But some people could think, well, I might want to be more about me, or more about indulging myself, want to be in a relationship more for the status, the ego, the image. That could be my truth, which, with these cards not showing themselves, means they don't want people to know that. Because people maybe wouldn't get in a relationship with them, right? So they could try to hide that and hope, if they go out in the world to get in a relationship with someone who, in their Sagittarius energy, was more inspired to free themselves from being more self-consumed and caught up in things of the world, to be more balanced in their worldly nature and their emotional nature, to be more kind of in tune with being more motivated and inspired by their more high vibrational nature. So they're more maybe about love. That can be some people's game plan. I'm more about this. Other people are more about that. And they could think that's a balance. And some people, whether they're male or female, they could put a lot of work and effort into having money. And then they could think, then I can go get someone who's loving to get in a relationship with me. Other people could put work and effort into their physique, if I male or female, and the other one could be male or female. If I put a lot of work and effort into having a certain physique, I think I can be the way I am, but I would maybe be able to get someone who might be more loving to get in a relationship with me. Because, I mean, that can be kind of like having the best of both worlds, right? I want to be kind of shadowy in some way, but because I think I have some power, money, looks, physique, whatever they have that in a worldly sense can be things that tempt people to want to be in a relationship with them because they present very well in some way. And other people can see it. It's like in the 3D world, even though this is emotional, it's in the 3D world. So I can go out in the world. There will be other people, maybe some loving people who feel stuck because something they had been trying to bring into reality didn't work. And, whether I'm an employer or I'm single, I am looking for someone to be in a relationship with me and invest in a long-term relationship with me, but I don't really want to be in high vibe energy. you know, I don't maybe want to, I might like to indulge myself. I could be bossy, controlling, prideful, immature, have some ways of being that I like to invest in, and I turn my back on learning lessons. That's high vibe Virgo. I have some ways of being that could be beneficial maybe to working together with other people, but I don't want to close out this cycle. I do not want to become, both the Nine of Cups and the Nine of Pentacles can talk about, I view them as becoming independent of something in high vibe. And there's some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. So I want to be like this, but I want to have people work for me or get in relationships with people or friendships with people who might not know that truth about me, to get them to work here, be my friend, get in a relationship with me, marry me, for them to think I'm like them. And shadowy energy can be where people try to create this illusion. It's kind of all the glim and glam. Look, I look this way. Look, I'm wearing this. Look, I have this kind of job. Look at my degrees or something, Trying to present themselves as being a more emotionally mature, stable, balanced person, but they're not. And they could have no interest in becoming more balanced within themselves. What is the opposite sign of Sagittarius? Oh, it's Gemini. That's interesting. So I kind of view the Tower as, in a way, as kind of like Gemini, representing our Gemini nature. It is Aries and Scorpio, which Aries is about the self. Scorpio is another water sign energy, which can kind of, in extremes, kind of be more, am I just more about myself? in Aries and Scorpio emotionally. Emotionally, I'm just more about myself, and I might be more superficial and shallow. But if people were to know that, they wouldn't get in a relationship with me. So I have to hide that truth, go out in the world and present myself as more mature and balanced than I really am. So more mature and balanced people will get in a relationship with me because that is all good for my ego and my image. And then it makes them look like they're a more enlightened, stable, grounded, mature person than they are. They might have already had some people become independent of them because those people became enlightened to the truth that they weren't who they said they were. But of course, with these cards not showing itself, they don't want people to know that. So they're still trying to maintain this illusion and don't about the type of person they are. And if they are more shadowy, more immature, maybe more bossy, more controlling, codependent, stubborn, they don't want other people to know that. So it's really important for them to maintain a certain status or image in their life. Now, there could be some people that they could view as someone like, oh, you have that certain way about you. I think you really are who you say you are. Gee, it'd be great if I get in a friendship or relationship with you because that would really make me look like I'm that type of person. The only problem is, maybe to a degree at any stage of our life, but definitely as we keep getting older and learning more lessons in life, we've learned more lessons in life, right? So when we were all much younger, we were much more naive and gullible, and we could have thought, everybody's learned the same lessons that we've learned. And if you're someone in high vibe who your truth is not to be more about yourself and more self-indulgent and more about these things of the world, but a more balanced view of life and a loving view of life, and you at times could have went out in the world and thought everybody's motivated and inspired by love, and you went through some experiences of finding out from some people that they weren't, and that can be really, really hard for us to accept, because but it's kind of being enlightened to the truth that everybody does have free will, and they have the free will to align with their kind of more hopeful, believing, and loving nature to, you know, maintain balance between their more worldly nature and their emotional nature to and learn lessons in life, that it's important to maintain balance within myself. Otherwise, I could indulge poor behavior in myself or others, and then I get in a more imbalanced type relationship. And if I want a more balanced relationship, I need to maintain balance within myself, listen to my intuition, and get to know people to maybe where maybe before I didn't ask these questions when I was younger, but now before I get maybe in a more involved relationship with people, I might ask some of these questions. You know, what are some of your long-term goals? Were you always planning? What are the things and hobbies that you like to do? Because you might meet someone and you only meet them at a certain thing, but oh, all the other days of the week I am doing this. I am like obsessed with that. It's like, really interesting. Or I don't know, for a while there, what was popping up in my readings was a lot about like people who might want to bowl 5 days a week. It's like, oh yeah, anything else that you like to do? No. It's like, okay. And if you're not somebody who wants to bowl 5 days a week, maybe, or whatever people like to do. Anyway, the truth is, in Gemini energy, some people are more aligned with being more aligned with their worldly view of life or themselves, or things to indulge in, all these other things, because they really might not think love is the answer. And again, other people could like to be in relationships with people who are loving, but that's then what they think is the answer. I just need to go find me a loving person. Just like some loving people could think, if their thing is, they could be very loving, very compassionate, maybe didn't invest, well, that would have been when they were a little more shadowy, but hadn't invested so much in their own unique talent, skills, and interests to have stability within themselves because they kind of figured, I'm a loving person. People are going to want to be in a relationship with me. Doesn't everybody want to be around loving and encouraging people? It's like, equally kind of tipped out of balance and, oh, but, you know, and thinking, I'm an emotional person, this is a worldly person, we'll get in a long-term relationship. But the problem is, it can be a more mismatched, imbalanced relationship. If the other people are very kind of driven by their career or their stability and security, they equally might want to, maybe over time, want to be in relationships with other people who are kind of motivated within themselves to kind of put work and effort into career or, then you kind of have that in common. And just not where all the responsibilities on them. So just like someone could feel like, well, I could feel kind of, you could even look at the tower, is kind of now making me think of people kind of feeling overwhelmed when they're in too much of a imbalanced relationship. And overwhelmed kind of makes me think of Ten of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy. Can it all go great for a long time? Yeah, but eventually maybe the people who are more having all the responsibility for providing more of the stability in a relationship, they could start to feel overwhelmed and kind of maybe wish they were in a relationship with someone else who also invested time, energy, and effort into having more of bringing in income or something, right? And equally, the people who could be the loving and encouraging people in the relationship initially can feel like, oh my gosh, this is great and this works out wonderful. But after a while, they can feel overwhelmed and kind of like, a more balanced relationship where they don't seem to be the one putting in all the work and effort to make a relationship seem more balanced, more at peace, more loving, where the other person can be focused on their career or whatever they're doing, right? And so eventually, when we get in more mismatched relationships, is it kind of maybe more lots of valuable lessons to be learned from that life experience? In the Tower card, going to be very painful? Yes, for everybody. But again, we come into relationships with people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and our truth isn't. And just like when we're young, sometimes, it's kind of like the good girl, bad boy, or good guy, bad girl scenario. It's kind of extremes. And part of that can be we are kind of really drawn initially, maybe, to people who could seem much more opposite of us or in contrast to us because life's all about learning these lessons. That's Sagittarius energy, going on this adventure, going on this journey. And there are, when we see people who live their life differently, or oh my gosh, they seem so much more uh, abrupt or outspoken or really blunt. And I'm used to not being around people who are like that. We're kind of can be really intrigued by people like that. And, just to kind of understand it and understand how they are the way they are. And, we don't know people like that. And just like we can be drawn and attracted to people who are a lifestyle that seems completely in contrast to our lifestyle, and part of it is, and we could get in long-term relationships or marriages or work for people who are like that. The only thing is when there are these big contrasts, we do kind of like to hang out with people who are more like us, right? So again, if we were to take the scenario of even someone like, oh my goodness, I love to go bowl 5 days a week, and someone else was like, um, I don't know what they would like to do. That would be in a contrast. But, initially it's so different. Maybe just hang out on, no, not that. Um, School or something. you know, it's such a contrast kind of. I was going to say partying, but you could party while you bowl too. But it can be interesting and exciting and it's kind of different, but eventually it's kind of like, you'd really like to be around people who kind of like to go invest their time, energy, and effort. And kind of Pisces can talk about, I want to kind of, I don't have to spend all my time with you, but if you're a significant person in my life, it'd be nice if I was in a friendship or relationship where we kind of like to invest our time, energy, and effort into some similar things that we both find emotionally fulfilling. Or like, I always kind of want to go do this or hang out with those people. And the other person's like, yuck. I want to go do this and hang out with these people and do these things. And the other person's like, yuck. But initially it could have been interesting, right? So some people have went through those things, and it's kind of as we get older that can we still appreciate, and sometimes we might appreciate and enjoy being in relationships to a degree with people who inspire us to look at life differently, not trying to force us to look at life differently. Shadowy energy can be a little more forceful and aggressive or manipulative. Um, just like some people could want to get out of a relationship if somebody's too focused on their career, or all they like to do is go to college perpetually, and it never, just feeling like some people kind of never get out of a phase and feeling like maybe it doesn't ever get more balanced. Well, then some people might leave to try to find someone to be in a relationship where they feel like there is more balance in the relationship, and then kind of a little bit on the same page. And the other people in turn might be looking for someone who's kind of more motivated and inspired, or wants to invest their time, energy, and effort into the things they do. Everybody in their own way could be, everybody could be people who are motivated and inspired by love. But I kind of look at the Ten of Pentacles as, kind of like making a cookie mix. I want a sprinkle of this and a cup of that and 2 cups of that and none of that. And the other people that we could have love for, their combination of making up the cookie mix of the idea of the dream life that we find emotionally fulfilling, it's completely the opposite of it, And we could have had people in our life and people in our own family, which is a little microcosm of the world. Can we learn a lot of valuable lessons from knowing all these different types of people in our own family and in our community and neighborhoods that we've grown up in? Sure, especially if we, we have love for them, and kind of maybe gives us more insight in compassion, even though we don't maybe want to go live our life like that, and they don't want to live their life like we do. It's kind of still where you could have respect and love for people having these differences, And everybody has the free will to live their life the way they want. Everybody's just got to face the consequences of their life choices. And with some people, can we have love for them? And yeah, we don't hang out that much. Yeah. you know, um, could we have had some love for people and really liked hanging out with them at one time in our life, but we could feel like they keep living their life that way, and hey, that's fine. Hey, how was your day? How was it? Great. Did we want to necessarily keep living our life that way? No, we could have moved on. Uh, and everybody has sometimes their career keeps them in some places, sometimes their family keeps them in some places. Sagittarius can be about people who are more willing to go on an adventure. Some other people could feel much more stable and grounded in not being as inspired to move around so much in their life. Other people could find kind of living in the same place for very long kind of boring. It's like, and, and everybody should listen to their own intuition about what makes them happy. So we've all been there, we've all done that. But sometimes we can feel stuck if someone we had been in a friendship or relationship and we thought we were kind of going to be on the same page all our life, whether it's a friend or a family member or a romantic interest. And we could wonder, like, why didn't something keep moving forward? And, sometimes when we're kind of ready to move forward in life, that can be that we do kind of look at life a little different than we did before. Just again, kind of the similar to when we were at these different ages and stages of life, where it's like, well, I don't think that way and I don't look at life that way. Or I still might be more again, I think for the first 30, 50 years of our life, you can be a loving person, but we're really kind of caught up a lot in these things of the world and can make our life, it can take more precedent in our life than kind of letting love and intuition guide us. And, and we've all been there. And then some people could kind of get to, because of some life experiences they could have went through, that they do look at life differently now than they used to. And then some of those things of the world, or things they used to like to go indulge in or something to feel better, made them feel stuck. A way of living life, viewing life that they thought for sure was going to make them happy, and then it didn't. Or we're in a more mismatched relationship and realize they don't want to be in more mismatched relationships. And what if we get out of a more mismatched relationship, and it even could be from like a job, and say we work with people at that job, and we're just like, I can't do this anymore. Can there be things about it I like, people I like in it? Yes. But everybody also kind of has their tolerance level of what they can put up with. And some people are like, no, I got to go. And people can do that and have different tolerance levels in relationships of how much, because in free will, we have to make these choices. We're sacrificing something by choosing something else, right? And some people could be, I just can't, if I feel it's more imbalanced, or living my life like this, or staying in certain things that I might stay in, or vices, keeps me stuck, and I don't feel maybe at peace. The hermit, and especially with them in that pose, would make me think like I don't feel like I'm at peace within myself. And I maybe don't find it as emotionally fulfilling as I used to. And it might have all these things of the world that someone could want. And it can be like being in a job that, by worldly standards and maybe by the paycheck for some people, or the people that work there, this is really abundant in a lot of ways. But it's not enough to be able to make me stay, because something, you know, It could even be feeling like, it's like all these cards, or these two cards anyway, are kind of connected because of a situation or a family group or a workplace or a friend group, but nothing's maybe moving forward, and we have to kind of be on the same page for it to be more balanced. So maybe our truth is different. Maybe what we're motivated and inspired by at different times, things aren't moving forward the way we thought. And so that's when some people will become independent of something. And like I say, there could be some people in the world right now trying to present themselves as more high vibrational than they are. Maybe even trying to create the illusion that they feel stuck. Maybe even because of some things that happened in their life. But some of those people are lying. They are not telling the truth. Virgo in high vibe is about telling the truth. And this could be anyone. Between their Sagittarius, their Virgo nature, their Pisces nature, their Aries, their Scorpio, they are not motivated and inspired to live their life any differently than they're living it. But they could try to present themselves as like, I would really like to, and we should keep staying in this situation because I feel stuck because of this and this, and I need to. Now the Hermit is kind of making me think of somebody who needs to take time to heal. But some of those people are lying. It's not, it's just the fact that shadowy people can even get in relationships with other people to try to manipulate other people. And they're just waiting. That kind of reminds me of like that too. I'm just waiting for someone else that I had been in a relationship with, or I want to be in a relationship with, for them to either see the truth that they should be in a relationship with me, or get out of the relationship they're in, or quit loving and believing in themselves. And whatever they do, whenever they get out of it, I'm hiding that I'm just waiting for that person to see that they should be in a relationship with me, and then, or get out of the relationship they're in. And then when they do, yeah, I'm going to get out of this one, and then I'm going to go take action to go get in a relationship with them. Some people are in a relationship right now, they're just passing time, knowing that those aren't people they even want to be in a long-term relationship with. But they might get in a relationship with someone just because they're single and they don't really like being single. So hey, why not indulge myself in a relationship while I'm single, and I'll just stay here until someone else comes along. And then if someone else comes along that I think is more on the same page as me, then I'll get out of this relationship. It's like hiding I would get out of this long-term relationship if something else became available. I don't know if I think that's a good idea, but everybody's got to make their own decisions. But I think high vibe energy would be, if you feel stuck and this isn't your truth, it's better to get out of it when there is not someone else in the mix, for one thing. But also because if you won't live your more authentic truth with it, it kind of could imply that you're a more codependent energy, and you might end up staying stuck in that relationship forever waiting. If the truth is you don't want to be in something, you should invest in your truth and become independent of it. That, because sometimes we can be stuck in things, and it's like, well, you're going to stay stuck in it until you decide to be willing to, the Hangman is about being illuminated to the truth, look at life differently, love and believe in yourself, know your worth and value, Stand up for yourself. And it's all a process and a journey. But otherwise, we could stay stuck in something all our life because we weren't willing to invest in our truth of becoming independent of some habits, some vices, our own shadow nature, our own fear, uh, other people in our life. But some people are unwilling to do that. Partly it could be, shadowy energy could be, I don't want to speak my truth. I don't want to act on my truth. I might do all these other things to try to manipulate, because that's shadowy energy. Um, Kind of like I don't want to take responsibility for my own actions. So if someone else, say, were to try to come on to someone and that person, then they could say it was because of that person that they got out of a relationship. That it wasn't because they would have maybe wanted to get out of that relationship irregardless, right? Um, some people are hiding, they're very emotionally codependent, and they don't want anyone to heal and look at life differently. And they could do things purposely, kind of behind the scenes, that people don't see, to try to destabilize other people. Some people would like, I know there's a lot of scenarios in this one. Some people would like to go do something else, but they might like to use what someone else does as the reason and the excuse for why they went and did what they did. So they're not taking action, but they're watching. They could be watching someone else, and if that person does something, oh, well then I can go ahead and do what I want to do. Kind of like, well, see, that person did this or that, because they're not willing to take action on their own truth. But they could kind of use someone else or something else as an excuse. Well, it's because of that. And shadowy energy and kind of shadowy Pisces can be wanting to try to confuse people about the truth of why some people do what they do. They don't want to take responsibility for it. Some people could be in relationships with people and they try to get those people to get out of relationships with them. They don't want to be in it, but they don't want to illuminate the truth that, they could be in a relationship with someone who's more insightful, loving, and abundant in a lot of ways. And that's not their truth, but they don't want people to know it. So they could kind of do things behind the scenes that people don't see, in, kind of being intimidating, controlling, bossy, stubborn, prideful, not working with them cooperatively, turning their back to them, focusing their attention on other things or people or family or whoever, just so it's not them. All to make those people feel stuck, to get those people to leave, and then they can blame those people so they can go invest in what they really want to invest in, which in shadowy energy could be being more about themselves or more about indulging themselves or ego or image or money or materialism, because truth and love and balance and justice and fairness isn't their truth. Wow. I know too many people. That's why so many scenarios came up. But if people are in friendship and relationship, whenever we're in friendship or relationship with people, we can all have our fears and insecurities, because we've all probably invested in people before that we viewed as more balanced and more independent. And then we could have found out that, you know, but instead of some people turning their back, which some people are, no, 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 because this happened before, I'm not I'll try to get along with these people, but I am not interested in investing in them in a more long-term relationship because this other thing happened in my past. So now I don't trust people. Well, some people in their life might like to be in a relationship with them, but it's like, it is what it is. And high vibe energy is about accepting the truth. Everybody is where they're at. I can only have my dreams come into reality with people who are kind of on the same page as me. And if that's not you, then I'm not going to let that destabilize me. And I'm going to maintain my balance within myself. And I'm going to keep living my life and investing in my truth. And sometimes some shadowy people don't like that other people are more independent. They kind of work through some of their more shadowy ways of being and self-indulgent ways of being and materialistically more or self-indulgent ways of being. And those people, are more at peace and balance within themselves. And some people that were in their life did not like that. You were supposed to stay living your life maybe the way you'd been living it when I met you. If you were more about the world, you were supposed to stay more about the world. If you used to be more codependent, you're supposed to stay more codependent. If you were caught up in the illusion of who I was, you're supposed to stay caught up in the illusion of who I was. And when other people kind of healed and grew and matured themselves in some way, other people didn't want to invest in them anymore. Some people could know that those people have love for them, but because those people, that's not their truth. They do not want to be in a relationship where people work through this shadowy energy to be more independent and enlightened. So it could be, so long as you're in that energy, I'm going to go do this. Maybe it'll destabilize you. Maybe it'll keep you stuck. Maybe your dream won't come into reality. And I'm going to go do what I'm going to go do because I'm not doing that. And initially it can keep people who have love for them, whether they're your adult child, your brother, sister, mom, dad, long-term friend, or romantic interest. It can kind of keep you stuck because you hadn't planned to really be independent of them. You were just kind of growing and healing and maturing yourself, offering truth and love to them to come with you. And they were like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, initially it keeps you stuck for a while. And it's like, and Pisces can talk about that it's confusing. But as more time goes by, probably realize in your Sagittarius energy that you kind of feel that's immature. And depending on who they are in your life, and I guess it really doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how old they are. I know people that are older than me that still, it's always trying to, don't want to grow up, don't want to deal with the truth, very stubborn, very prideful, their way or the highway, or very caught up and manipulated by the world and other people. And then young people can be more mature, but irregardless, it's just kind of realizing that, you do look at life differently. You're not the same person you were before. Some people are going to stay the same way they are or get worse over time. Some people don't want to see the truth. Some people don't want to connect in with their emotions. Some people don't want to be in more just and fair and balanced relationships. It's like they might have to go on a journey in their Sagittarius energy to go take that energy out in the world and see how other people like it. And hey, if you find someone who you're kind of more on the same page with, I kind of found out we're not, and I kind of see the truth of it now. Might have had me stuck for a while, but eventually high vibe people put in this work and effort to love and believe in themselves and know their worth and value and what they bring to the table. And if they were trying to harnessing these energies in a high vibe way, trying to offer truth and love to some people who are kind of unstable. I can't make other people look at life differently. I can't make people do this work. I can't make people love themselves. I can't make people get more balance within themselves. I can't make people see some of the things that manipulate them. I can't make them deal with their past pain and heartbreak. I can't do any of those things. All a person can do is offer a loving and encouraging and supportive environment to people, treat other people the way they like to be treated, and then they have free will within themselves to decide if they are, but it takes work and effort to free yourself from your more shadowy nature and to free yourself from other shadowy people or your worldly nature or your ego nature or your defensive nature or your lazy or prideful or whatever nature. Like growing pains. And it can take years and decades. And so eventually other people in their life accept the truth of it. And, we all have these things that we want to manifest, and we can only manifest those with other people who are on the same page at the same time as us. So then the other people have to do this work within themselves to detach from this relationship. And though physically we could distance ourselves from people, it can take time emotionally to distance ourselves. And some of the people that could be in our lives could be people that we could have already went through that process. Other people could be in the midst of that kind of process. And again, we might realize, because that can take a long time. And some people will never make it through. Some people keep staying focused on people in their life who aren't treating them in a just and fair way. And it's like, oh no, I'm sure they'll change. So I think some people had to work through if this it's always trying to not harness these energies in a more shadowy way, because that could make us repeat some old patterns, and we can all kind of repeat old patterns and ways of being and acting and behaving because it's kind of our comfort zone. But if we've already been there and done that, it made us feel stuck. We saw the truth of it. There's always going to be people in the world that could have some traits, characteristics, ways of being, presenting themselves that could be things that kind of got me attracted to some other people. And so I need to see what it is within me that could have made me be attracted or keep staying in those jobs or friendships or relationships for as long as I did, because I don't want to do that again. So the high vibe people are doing and have done, some of them, to quit harnessing these in a more worldly, shadowy way. And some of them have completed that cycle and they've been enlightened to the truth, and they're now harnessing them in a more high vibe way. And not everybody knows that. Certainly the more shadowy people in your life don't realize it, because that maybe isn't even how they think and view life. Because shadowy energy can be, again, where everybody's just creating this illusion about the type of person they are. So they think you're just creating an illusion. But they don't realize that you're not the same person that you were. You do look at life differently than you used to. And some of the things that could have been, say people turn their back to you and people aren't investing in you, aren't being loving or whatever to you. It's like, I've dealt with people who are like that before. And in our more worldly nature, because we want to be in friendship and relationship with people, that could have more bothered us, and it does still more bother some people, that it's like, why don't you like me? And why don't you want to be my friend? And blah, blah, blah. And other people are like, if you are more motivated and inspired to treat other people the way you like to be treated, and be more just and fair, you would be that kind of person. And so when people act like that, I just see the truth that, they're kind of in a more immature, shadowy energy. And I accept the truth of it. And I'm going to look to find people in the world who aren't more shadowy, But for other people, it can still really bother them. And that's how shadowy people can manipulate loving people, because loving people want things to be just and fair and for people to get along. And shadowy people will try to use that to get you to keep putting a lot of work and effort into a relationship, wondering why they're not treating you in a more just and fair way when you're a just and fair and loving person. Well, as long as you're willing to let it bother you, trying to get them to see the truth that you're this just and fair and loving person. How about you see the truth that you're a just and fair and loving person, and they're maybe not, and you let them go do that with someone else? What are these cards? The World, the Page of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. Yeah. There's some people in the world that are immature in their fire sign nature within themselves. They are kind of more about themselves. So a more shadowy Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Aries is about the self, and well, it's about the self, but you can grow and mature yourself. But some people in the page, they're quite immature. Leo can be about our more ego nature, defensive nature, prideful nature. And some people are in that energy instead of having grown and matured themselves and being a loving and encouraging, authentic person in the world. And shadowy Sagittarius is kind of being more immature. So there's people in the world that are quite immature. And loving people have probably invested in those people in the Ace of Cups. But the more immature, shadowy people don't want to see the truth of where they maybe need to emotionally grow and mature themselves. And their idea of the dream relationship is for someone who's loving to keep indulging them in a relationship with them being able to be immature. And the pages can also represent that we're kind of in, could be about codependent energy. So high vibe people realized they needed to get out of their own codependent energy to love and believe in themselves and in their own high vibe, Aries energy of self, and Leo and Sagittarius. I need to be inspired within myself to love and believe in myself, to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me. I'm not a child anymore. I'm not looking for someone to play the role of my mother or father in my life. I can be my own best mother, father, coach, voice in my own head. And I'm going to offer love to my more worldly, immature nature, like my own shadow nature, to grow and mature myself and love myself. And just learning to love yourself and become independent of your more codependent, immature, worldly nature. It's kind of like your loving nature getting in the driver's seat of your life, and your shadow nature has to sit in the back seat. And you offer love and encouragement to yourself. Because otherwise, your shadow nature can be in the driver's seat of your life, and it keeps doing that. And your more hopeful, believing, loving nature is like, are we ever going to do anything differently? Sitting in the back seat. And your ego nature, or fearful nature, or prideful nature, or codependent, immature, or whatever nature is like, no way, man, we're doing this. And we all have done that at different degrees and stages in our life. And some people realized, I need to let my more hopeful, believing, loving nature be in the driver's seat of my life. So I need to offer love to myself, quit looking to the world to validate my worth and value and love me and appreciate me. I need to learn to love me and appreciate me. And then high vibe energy is being more independent, living your more authentic life, letting other people free will to live their life the way they want, but kind of getting clear about your truth, not going to indulge poor behavior in myself or in others, it has to be a more insightful, balanced, mature, loving, just fair relationship, or they can go do whatever way they want to go do it, they can do it with other people. So you had to close out a relationship with some people who maybe wanted you to be more codependent, wanted you to, in your fire sign nature within yourself, be more about these things of the world that you want to manifest than staying focused on your long-term goals and dreams that you have, and settle for maybe being more tempted in your worldly nature than staying high vibe Taurus is like, or high vibe Virgo is staying focused on the big picture. Do I want friendship and relationship and, enjoy some things in my life? Yes, but it's in balance and moderation, because I don't want to drive my life off into the ditch. And I also have these long-term goals. So what's coming up? My goodness. Just had tons coming through there. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Sagittarius energy that they might not see coming? The Ace of Pentacles and the Four of Cups. Why? Because of the Emperor. So the Emperor is about making these good decisions in your life, and it's also about realizing that all four aspects of yourself are important, even though at times in our life it's like, oh my god, I want my heart to run my life, or oh my gosh, I want my defensive nature to run my life, or I want to let my more immature, prideful, and lustful nature run my life, or make my life all about these things of the world. And it's realizing in order to have a more balanced, truly abundant life, we have all four aspects to ourself: our emotional nature, our creative passionate, our intellect, our truth, our stability of security, our unique talents, skills, and interests, to really feel truly balanced and abundant within ourselves is kind of growing ourselves to our full potential, which is the Emperor can talk about that, but also realizing I need to keep all these four elements in balance. They're all equally important. If I let one, two, or three be more important than some other aspect, I will go learn a hard lesson. That part that I maybe didn't think that was that important is going to come back to bite me in the ass. But because some people decided to maybe stand up for themselves, know their worth and value, not give up on their dreams and their long-term goals, they're still investing in the Four of Cups. Can be kind of, I'm going to take that cup of love that the divine offers all of us to align with my more hopeful, believing, loving nature, to invest in myself, love myself. Then I, in turn, maintaining balance within myself, not indulging poor behavior in myself or others, can then go invest. I might have had some people in my life who didn't appreciate that. I can go offer those resources and that way of being to other people in the world who might have dealt with some people like that. See if they want to work together. Find people who are more on the same page as you. Hey, I'm a just and fair and loving person. Some other people in my life might have liked, well, they didn't maybe want to, in turn, treat me that way. How about you? Do you feel rejected and that, seeing the truth that some people try to offer you things of the world for you to love them? In high vibe and high vibe Virgo goes within to see the truth. The truth is, I need to treat other people the way I like to be treated, and I need to offer them truth and love if I want loving people in turn to be in relationship with me. And you saw some people, that's not their truth. So you just closed out a cycle with them, and you're going to go invest in people, in yourself and other people who are like that. Accept the truth that some people, that's not their truth. I only want to offer you things of the world, and then you're supposed to emotionally indulge me in a relationship. You be loving, I don't want to do love. Not authentically. I want you to turn your back on knowing your worth and value and make your life more about me or these things of the world. I don't want you to invest in yourself and love yourself enough to go invest in other people who are more like you. But you're going to go invest in people and keep investing in people who are more like you. What's coming up? And then as you're doing that, other people see you doing that. They know you could do this if you wanted. You could go indulge someone, go find someone maybe to indulge you, go indulge in all these things of the world to try to feel better. But you've been enlightened to the truth. Love is the answer. So you take action in truth and love for yourself to make good, balanced decisions in your life. You do have your worldly nature. You also have your emotionally intuitive, loving nature, and you maintain balance within yourself and look to be in relationships with other people who do that. And other people can see that. And I guess the people who are on that same page, as you get to know them and they get to know you, new people in your life, if that's the same page you're on, you'll move forward with those people. What's coming up for the people who might harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius that they don't see coming? The Ten of Swords. Why? Because of love. Two of Cups, Cancer energy. They keep rejecting. That's kind of like the Tower. No, I do not align with my more loving nature. Well, they're going to have more loving people who become independent of them. If they want to be immature, bossy, controlling, shadowy Pisces within themselves, they have these illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And they could be caught up in the illusion of themselves, like, oh my goodness, everybody should want to be my friend or date me or marry me. It's like, you might be caught up in the illusion about yourself. Not everybody else is. But I look this way, or I have this status or image or physique or money or intellect or education or job. Yeah, that can attract people. But then as people maybe work together with them over time, they could realize they're not very loving. Might create the illusion they're loving, but it's not authentically loving. That's different than being authentically inspired by love. And what they can probably not understand, when they see other people in the world, some people, high vibe people, worldly people, whatever, people can be attractive, charming, have status, have image, have money. Not everyone who has those gifts about them uses those things to try to manipulate and control people. They don't, those are like perks that they might have about them, but they know that the most important thing about them is that they're a just and fair and loving person. Can there be all sorts of people that want to get in relationships with people because of these more superficial things? Sure. High vibe people don't want people to be in a relationship with them for that reason. And it could always, some people don't trust people who seem like, oh, they're attractive, oh, they're charming, oh, they're stable, oh, they're successful in some way. Oh, I don't trust them. I'm sure they'll be manipulative or deceptive or whatever, right? And so, probably because they know if they had more of whatever those things were, they would use them deceptively and manipulatively. So even when they meet someone who's like, oh my gosh, you could have had a great relationship with that person. Oh no, I'm sure, well, that could probably be someone who doesn't appreciate what they bring to the table. So we kind of need to see the truth of it. Also, they could be surprised that there's, because some of these people are full of themselves, and it, for some, it's just all in their own head. But they could be really surprised when they kind of meet people who, damn, you could manipulate people if you wanted, male or female. And that's not the truth of who those people are. And that those people, even though they could completely go indulge themselves and be an immature player in the world, male or female, they don't want to because they enjoy being in relationships with people that are authentic and loving. Those things are important to them. And for other people, the truth is love isn't that important to them because in a more shadowy energy, they just indulge themselves in relationships. They don't really do love. And ultimately, they'll probably be, the more shadowy they are, the more they'll be surrounded by other people who might not love them, but are willing to be in a relationship with them for whatever they can get out of it. And that's where shadowy people don't want to see the truth. They keep thinking, no, no, no. This is how I think the world should work. I should be able to be this way. And I think loving people should want to be in a relationship with me. It's kind of like the devil, right? The devil kind of can represent the world. Look at all these things I have. You should want to work with me. You should make your life about these things. You'll be happy. Well, having all these things of the world or indulging in all these things of the world, but we don't have love. There's a Bible verse about that. It's like a resounding gong. I have all of these things, but if I don't have love. And that's what some people are on a journey to realize. And one day they might realize that, oh my gosh, I've got all these things, or I thought I was living the dream life, and look, I made it all about me, or look, I'm in a relationship where it's all about me, or look, I'm in a relationship that has all those things, or, they had the free will to decide to grow and mature themselves, invest in themselves, in their own unique talent, skills, and interests, expand their perception of themselves and the world around them, and connect in with their more emotionally intuitive nature to grow to their full potential. And they chose to just maybe make their life more about. This reminds me, this is and remember, this can be male or female. People who emotionally, it's kind of like somebody getting ready, I'm going to go try to manipulate that person, male or female. It doesn't have anything to do with love. Either they just don't want to be single and they want to go indulge in a relationship, or they want money and status and image, male or female. And what some people don't realize is that's why some people are in a relationship with them and they don't want to see the truth. Some of those people are people like that, but they don't want to see the truth about that within themselves. We can all want to stay in denial of the truth that we're more materialistic, more emotionally manipulative, more fearful of love, defensive to love, more prideful, more, stubborn. That can be the hangman too. Some people are very stubborn and prideful and will do all this shit in the world just to prove a point when they could have gotten out of their prideful, stubborn nature and done love. But I guess it maybe makes them feel like they have a sense of power and control. And by the time other people work through it, get over it, move on, high vibe people are going to go have a brand new beginning. They've closed out a cycle in their life. And while those people are moving on, learn some lessons they needed to learn to go to the next phase of the video game of life, these other people who could think, oh no, look, I'm manipulating them. Oh no, They want to be in a relationship with me. Oh no, blah, blah. By the time they realize the truth, those other people are gone. And they're like, what? But I have all these things. Yeah. Then there's the devil. But I have all these things. I don't understand. It's like because other people saw through the illusion. And some people are doing that right now. No, I'm going to be stubborn. No, I'm going to be prideful. I'm sure they won't love and believe in themselves. I'm sure they'll come back. And while they were doing that, other people did the work to heal, to love themselves, to free themselves from a toxic. That's what the devil talks about because it looks just like the Lover's card, except they have chains and shackles. From from a toxic, unhealthy relationship dynamic. And this whole time they thought they were manipulating someone. Oh, look, I'm not in a relationship with them. Oh, look, I'm turning my back on them. Oh, look. And while they're doing that, the other people are bossing up in the world. And then they could be like, oh, shit. Now that person seems like the devil can represent that you then seem to have these things of the world that other people want. But they backstabbed you. And they weren't nice or kind or friendly. They probably kind of wish at some later date that they had been. Because you might have all the things that they think that they would have wanted. But at one point in time, maybe they didn't think you had that in you. Kind of makes me think of a lady who wrote an article. Her husband, just out of the blue one day, had no idea that he was, well, it was a kind of a story. She wrote an article in a New York magazine or something and ended up writing a book on it. But that, yeah, she was bright and smart. I think and actually could be a lawyer or something. But I wonder if she was being kind of like a stay-at-home mom for several years, raising their like 2 kids or something. And then he left. Well, and then she ended up kind of writing this article and then wrote this book, and it's like a big seller now. I had to do a little tarot on him of what does he think now about the wife he left that he was probably social climbing. Oh, and he screwed her over in the marriage too with things he did so that, yeah, financially he thought he was getting the better end of the deal, and he found out he's like a 9 of Pentacles and now she's like an emperor. So, but it can go both ways, and male or female. There you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.